All right, welcome to the Ontario election live stream, the TNT version, the only one that's based enough to watch right now, as it's a boring election, but we'll be the ones talking about the things you care about. Will Belinda Kalaharos get a seat? Will Stephen Del Duca lose his seat or not gain one? Will the Liberals embarrass themselves? Well, the Green and any sort of interesting things in terms of the future of Ontario and how this affects politics going forward. We'll be monitoring the important races, the ones that are, with candidates that are either really, really good or really, really bad. We'll monitor how they're doing, if they win, if they lose. We'll look at the new blue results. Basically, we're also going to field questions from the audience because this is the only election night coverage where we actually care what you have to say. And
this is definitely gonna be a depressing election night because there's literally only one outcome. I think you already said that, like, the whole thing's already been called for Doug Ford.
And the majority, they've already called it PC majority. I called it. We called it PC majority 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So this doesn't surprise anyone. Doug Ford was going to win a majority. But we'll go into like what it means. We'll be here as long as there's things we're saying. Will I get drunk? Who knows? But
yeah, it's one of those elections.
It's one of those elections. So Wyatt, are you going to have the Belinda and like the Tri-Cities area?
I'm starting off at least with one that's at least funny. Is that the Stephen Del Duca down fairly significantly behind in Vaughan Woodbridge. Like, he could come back. It's only 5 out of 38 polls, and in any community with these especially larger ridings, you do get areas where it's the PC heavy side and the Liberal heavy side. But one I'm kind of looking for tonight, because it's like New Blue was not going to actually form the government and no one was ever under that impression, is I want to see how many votes they get in total. Because if they can punch up into the hundreds of thousands, it's now a party, and the media has to kind of talk about it, whether they have a seat or not. Whereas, but if they didn't, it would have been like, okay, now they have to do a lot of building before they can mount an election where they're going to be like pulling off big numbers.
Well, I mean, my thing is the real question of this election, what you can be rooting for as a conservative, both in Ontario and nationally. The national implications is if New Blue wins a seat and gets a larger vote share than the Green Party, that will send shockwaves through the mainstream political system, because the media likes to play at the major four parties because they love promoting the Green Party, even though no one cares about it and they don't have anything of value to say almost ever. But if New Blue gets a seat and then beats them in vote total, this really, really shows that there is a pathway forward for actual conservative parties in the country. Now, Doug Ford will get to ignore them, yes, but having a counterbalance in the legislature has proved to be very useful. It helped defeat Bill 67. It raised awareness of Bill 100. So all the crazy nonsense that Doug Ford will do, all the lefty nonsense he will do, there will be a counterbalance and there will be a coordinated political effort to stop it. Now, will it get stopped? Not all the time, but some of the time, the crazy left-wing nonsense the PCs do will get stopped if Belinda gets into legislature.
Yeah, if she doesn't, and I think this is what the New Blue would then have to do, and they would kind of be doing this anyways, whether they were in or outside of Queen's Park, is that if you just advocate strongly enough on issues, it eventually raises awareness to the point where it makes things dangerous for the PCs to pass in terms of their actual electoral chances in like the long run. I think what would be also nice to see is some other New Blue people punching above what the polling was saying that they would get. So if they're getting like 7% of the vote and 8% of the vote in certain ridings. And the thing is, a lot of what the media was doing this entire election that annoyed me to no end was that they kind of immediately from the outside of the election, they don't cover New Blue. And if they do, they're just going to say, well, they're not going to get a lot of votes. It's like, okay, you're just telling people not to vote for them while pretending to be objective.
Yeah. So I see two questions. One, this guy, I'm whiskey, because I'm a man. And this, I think this is a suit for what? Wyatt was a big Derek Sloan supporter during the Conservative Party leadership race. And now we have this question.
Yes.
What do you think the newly mentioned clown, Derek? Why is he split in the opposition vote? Wyatt, take it away.
Because he's probably paid to or encouraged to in one way or another, honestly.
All right, I thought there was going to be a longer-winded answer there, but
I'm kind of tired of the whole thing at this point. Everything Derek's been doing is obviously stupid. You obviously shouldn't be doing what he's doing. He made no attempt to actually work with New Blue. He, from the outset, okay, and I can even just tell people what he tells me on the freaking phone.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
ticked off today. Literally, he called. I remember he called Jim Carahalios telling him he's going to do the party. Literally, a few seconds after that call happened, his manager then called me and says, "So we're doing a party and we're going to be doing something separate from the New Blue." I'm like, "Why don't you just combine with them?" And then they immediately said, "We're not doing that," while pretending in the media like they wanted to actually do it. They said, "Well, Jim's not working with us." I'm like, "Well, what were your terms?" He says, "Well, you should power share with us and give us 50% of New Blue's power, essentially, like make us equal partners." Despite the fact they had not done any work, it was really disgusting. I had literally been having like quote unquote Christian psychologists contacting me and saying, Jim Carahalios is mentally unwell. Never met the guy in their life. They're just saying disgusting rumors about him because that's what kind of people are backing the Ontario Party, honestly. Not that if you vote for them, you're bad. A lot, like the candidates are probably genuine people if they're actually running and they're not just paper candidates. And a lot of the people supporting them thought it was a real thing. But everyone in the background was attempting to make sure that this was dead on arrival. But all they're trying to do is then take away votes from New Blue by like running TV ads and whatnot, even though they are not actually making an attempt to run for re-election in a substantial way.
So here's some things like I like seeing. Like the way to really look at this, I mean, you just had not Matt. Okay, Matt Miller was up.
This one, David Barnell's actually getting 7.4% of the vote. It's not bad.
Like, can they finish in fourth? Like, you want Belinda to win one seat and then other ones, but always how many places they finish ahead of the Green Party? Or
I believe she's behind right now, and I don't think she can win. Yeah, like maybe it's tight, but yeah, like 12.5% of the vote, unless there's areas in there where there's like, unless there's polling stations that are in New Blue hotspots, I don't think she can win. Okay, but at least it can pump up the vote count. Although that's actually quite like not very many votes right now so far.
Well, that's a shame because they can just ignore New Blue forever. So now New Blue does need to beat out the Green Party. That in order for tonight to be a success, they kind of need to beat out the Green Party in votes. And especially in a lot of ridings. Because, it is really disappointing if Belinda can't get back in. So how's Jim's riding doing?
Yeah, I'll look at that. Yeah, he's in Kitchener-Conestoga. He's at 6.5% of the vote, and Mike Harris Jr., of course, is winning. I was at least hoping as well that you could get a few PC people just get tripped up. The thing about this election is I don't understand the psychology of being a PC voter anymore, in the sense that I understand like, hey, like, well, what about the NDP and the Liberals? Same kind of difference, but at least they're outright serving the crazy people. Whereas the New Blue, the PCs really do nothing for you as a conservative voter, or even a voter who like cares about fiscal responsibility or anything. So it's like nuts to me that there are like people lining up at polling stations to basically get subpar garbage.
You don't understand. Yeah, I mean, Ontario is much less based than Alberta, to put it in, complex, fancy terms. So there are a lot of people who are just, it's good enough. And there are a lot of people in Ontario who are kind of fine being locked down socially. So like there is a contagion coming off of the people outside with 2 masks on. And it is a sense of social, leftism, let's say, that gets into the ether. So there are a lot of people who was like, oh, Doug Ford did good job during COVID, because a lot of the people voting for Doug Ford is, one, it's conservative voters who don't know that there's another option. So if you looked at New Blue's polling, the problem is, and I think they'll understand this, is New Blue's polling tapers off at the over 65 demographic, right? They're doing better against young. And it just makes sense because that's the hardest demographic to reach as a new party if you don't have mainstream media support, because they're not watching the National Telegraph in larger numbers. Like there's a lot of, I'm not saying no one over 65 has the internet, but in terms of how they traditionally consume news, it's through the major institutions because that's just, what happens. So when you're excluded from them, you get, pushed out of those. And then you also have this compounds with the fact that the majority of, conservative voters, like as people get older, they tend to get more conservative. So you have the problem where you have a lot of old people who've been listening to mainstream media propaganda, which has now been quite friendly to Doug Ford in Ontario. Since Doug Ford became Justin Trudeau's best friend, he has gotten a lot more leeway in mainstream media attacks. Like, you can say this is politically savvy and blah, 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 blah. You can make that case, but this would also explain the majority turnout, especially in Ontario. He'd get killed in Alberta, right? He'd get Kenny. He couldn't survive a leadership race. They'd throw him on his face. But in Ontario, you do have a lot of people who consume mainstream media, and Doug Ford has sort of done the Trudeau thing and bought them off. Like, he's given the Toronto Star a lifeline with their online gambling thing. He's basically done this Trudeau thing of, bribing the media, getting their good books, and he's been able to parlay this into a not a friendly media, but a media that is doing his bidding by just kind of ignoring this election and saying, well, it's kind of boring, they'll just win re-election. And there also is the classic people, it's hard to get a new candidate in. You have going into your second term, you tend to have an advantage. That's when politicians do their best, is running for a second time. It's people like the incumbent in general terms. So you have all those factors coming together, and that can explain how the PCs get a majority. This is funny. I mean, Del Duca losing. So, I mean, the silver lining here is this is a highly embarrassing part for the night for the Liberal Party. And if you want some national silver lining, is with the Liberals getting destroyed in Ontario. Ontario is a Liberal province. We are a red province. Our province is red. But the Liberals under Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty did such a horrible job that I thought within 4 years, all of that would be water under the bridge and everyone go back red again. Like, they were so mad. The failure of the Liberals when it hit people's pocketbooks and they can see it really did hurt them. So in a few years, when people feel the sting of the federal Liberal Party and Trudeau's popularity tanks, there is a chance that this does have a long-term negative effect on the federal Liberals, because they're doing the same thing they did in Ontario. And so there is some silver lining there, that Ontario being anti-liberal now seemed to have some very strong, anti-liberal sentiment because of what the Liberals did to Ontario. It's a silver lining here.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, if you guys can like and share the video, that'd really help us out. If you like the video, then you get into heaven. I spoke to Allah earlier today, and he told me that's just how it goes. He said I forgot the part to put in the Bible and the Quran to put that in, but he's like, yo, totally my bad, mea culpa. If you like and share this particular election stream video, straight in. And 73 versions, bonus version. Hey, come on.
I was gonna say though, like, the thing is that too is it just felt like even like the Toronto Star, and this is kind of reflected and not surprising based on the fact that the Ford government literally gave them a online gambling license worth $500 million. Even the Toronto Star's coverage of Doug Ford, especially for the first half of the election, was extremely mild, and it was just covering it like, oh look, there's this three-way horse race going on. I guess people are going to vote this election. And then they just kind of walked away. Like, there was nothing going on in terms of like how the media was covering it. It was just, oh yeah, Doug Ford's going to win. Like, that was basically from like the last 6 months. They're like, Doug Ford's going to win. And it's kind of like the media reflected in the way the unions and a lot of sort of like local politicians were acting, as it was basically just, it was essentially just backing up Ford because that's who's essentially handing out all of the money right now. And like, it is ridiculous, especially coming from Alberta, seeing how corrupt Ontario politics kind of is. There's like a crazy amount of New Jersey type of bribery in this province.
Don't get me started. Okay, Chris.
I'd like to see this Green Party guy, Matt Richard, in Prairie Sound, Muskoka, win just out of pure want. No. Yeah. What?
The answer is New Blues has not won anything. Belinda is at 12.5%. So.
And it's just an anti-change election is what you would call it.
Yeah, I mean, the way the media did Doug Ford's bidding is by essentially ignoring this election, and that's what worked best for them as well. Because if they just said, hey, if they went lefty, whatever, they could have, done their classic thing, like they always go lefty. But by not doing anything, they don't alienate their lefty audience, right? They can just like be like, oh, big brained, nothing. It doesn't look that interesting. Oh, Belinda's losing steam. This isn't good. Yeah. So
I don't even have anywhere particular to click around here, so I'm just sort of trying to find stuff and just seeing what new blue people are doing in terms of vote count.
I mean, as long as if they beat the Greens, that's important. The problem is the Greens are looking like they might get 2 seats.
Yeah, like the Greens honestly would help. It would help New Blue out in the long run for them to get a couple of seats, just because it would split up the left vote a little bit more, and having a little bit more opposition, even if it's Green opposition, in the legislature does help slightly.
Yeah, because the Green does make their money by being sort of anti-establishment. Like they won't vote for the execute the truckers law. Whereas the Liberals and the NDP will, but the Greens will sometimes be like, oh, a principled moral stance. This is how, because the Greens aren't as stupid as the Jagmeet Singh NDP. Because the Greens truly understand their role and understand that taking some heterodox positions might gain them in the long run, because they rely on people saying like, oh no, I don't trust the Liberals, I don't trust the NDP. They've screwed me over. They're too mainstream. There. So we got a question from Mike. So you can check out Sarnia Larton.
Sarnia Lambton? Got it. Oh, I'm already here.
Oh.
So the David Barnell is actually not doing too bad. 7.2% as like a New Blue can is pretty decent, considering the Liberals at 9. This is Monty McNaughton's riding as well.
Monty McNaughton. What a dude.
Yeah, I'm not sure if people know, but we covered it back last Easter in 2021 that he was going and visiting his parents' cottage when there was literally lockdown stay-in-place orders. You were not supposed to leave your community. You were not supposed to go out of town, go visiting your cottage. The guy visited his cottage, and then when we reported it, we literally got angry phone calls from his press secretary, who was like ticked off at us for reporting it, even though we're like, well, is his car parked in the driveway of his parents' place right now? And then that's when they ghosted us.
Yeah, good times. But then none of the other media outlets picked up on it. Rebel didn't care, and True North didn't care. So it died because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, the thing that was kind of disappointing to me, even for kind of some independent media coverage, is the way that they kind of did the whole New Blue Party, Ontario Party horse race, as if they shouldn't be able to look at the evidence. And I know there was a lot of people in independent media who I've talked to independently who just know that, who knew that the Ontario Party was fake, and they didn't contest that. But at the same time, the outlet would still treat it like, oh, well, which one's legit? And it's like, what are you talking about? There's like the people who have, if I asked Jim Carahalios for text message. What?
Todd says Monty is Middlesex, Sarnia.
Oh, Lambton, Kent. Oh, sorry, Sarnia Lambton. What am I thinking? Sorry about that. Keith Ben actually doing very well too. Okay. Fair enough.
Even better. Yeah, so 7.9. Yeah, so these regions, they're definitely beating the Greens and potentially, neck and neck with the Liberals there.
Yeah, the only advantage the Greens have is there's a lot of urban ridings that they'll punch up some votes in, where they don't even have to campaign, because it's like urban areas where people just vote that kind of way, because there are a bunch of climate alarmists. But yeah, still
not in Ontario.
It's not so.
People want to know about London.
London North Centre. Tommy Caldwell. He did really well in the debate. I actually watched him in the debate. He was a great candidate. And that's the sad thing, is I think this is like an election where you'd almost say it's like completely anti the local candidate, is that nobody really cares about the local guy anymore. No, I mean, like someone from your community, a lot of people know he runs a small business, super nice guy. It's just like, well, which brand am I going to go vote for? And that's something that really needs to sort of change in politics in general in Canada, where we have to get away from just like brands, and people need to go to, okay, well, who's the best guy who can articulate himself well, who has good policies, who we know helps out in the community. Like that's like non-existent these days.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like it's ridiculous when you think about it, that like the Doug Ford PCs were at no point punished for the fact that they literally just appointed all these people who weren't incumbents already.
This is the problem, is it gives Doug Ford a mandate to be like, there's going to be lockdowns in the fall. There's
Yeah.
going to be lockdowns in the fall. It's a coming. The thing is, like,
we gotta be nice when we get there, but someone's gonna have to say "I told you so" at least once.
yeah, I mean, and this is, I mean, yeah. What? The other question is, will the Liberals regain official party status?
I don't think so, honestly. The Liberals were probably the biggest boon to Doug Ford. I don't know who saw, because like how long before? When was Stephen Del Duca made the leader?
Like 2 years ago. Like, I think he's been the leader since for COVID.
Oh yeah, okay, it was 2020.
Yeah.
It was March of 2020, so super early on. Okay, I guess that tells you something bad. He won on the final ballot after several people were eliminated with 58.8% of the vote, and it took like a lot of rounds. I want to see what this was like. Well, wait.
So
oh my goodness! Like nobody voted in the. Oh, that's why nobody voted in the Liberal leadership election. Like nobody. Like he won with 1,072 delegates voting for him.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
That's sad. Yeah, and like the guy who was, I think his like biggest competitor. Yeah, he was the guy from like Don Valley East or something like that. That'd actually be really funny if he was losing his election. No, he's still winning. Okay, but like no. Actually, it's a different guy. Okay, wait. Don Valley West, was I? Okay, I might have been mistaken. No, I don't think the guy re-ran. That's why. Anyways, no, I was going to say though, like it like the thing is that the biggest boon to the Conservatives this race was that the Liberals didn't decide to dump their leader, who had gotten no traction. Like, what were you going to do? Figure out how to get traction 5 seconds towards like 5 seconds into the action when the writ dropped? Like, if nobody liked you by then, you should have just honestly appointed an interim leader that your grassroots liked, because like he was not
run
inspiring.
On the brand.
Yeah. Like the thing is that they validated every single stupid thing Doug Ford said. Like Doug Ford was running ads saying like, "Oh, if you better vote for me, the Liberals and the NDP are going to lock you down again." Like, what are you talking about? Like, you were the one. You did that. You did like that. I don't doubt they would do it too, but like you did that. Like, what is this? But the thing is, it sticks because Stephen Del Duca's insane, looking into the camera with like a catatonic Lex Luthor saying, "We're gonna stick like needles in your kids' arms and make them wear masks in the classroom in 2058." Like he's a nutcase. So then every single thing that Doug Ford said about his opposition was actually correct. So he didn't actually have to fend off the people. Like he didn't have to fend off the New Blue Party. Because one, it was a boring election because the Liberals and the NDP guaranteed it was going to be boring because they sucked. And then two, Doug Ford could just move to the left and inherit all the people who thought Stephen Del Duca was rightfully crazy, even though Doug Ford is going to be that crazy in 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that helped Ford here is, you're right, Del Duca and Horvath pretended that he was a conservative guy. Like, they pretended that he didn't lock everyone down. They pretended that he was this libertarian anti-lockdown guy. And because of that, I think that really helped him, that people who had conservative leanings, like they didn't know about New Blue. And, they voted Doug Ford. Now, I still think New Blues, I mean, their numbers for a first election are pretty great. I mean, what did the PPC get federally? 2%?
I only think it was 1%.
Yeah, so
I'm looking it up just quickly so we can be scientific. He got 1.62%.
Oh, 1.62% of the federal vote. Yeah, so New Blue is on pace to do a lot of that. And if they can build on that, that'd be great. But the problem is, without Belinda in the legislature, Ontario is in for a world of hurt. And critical race theory.
This right here is the only Liberal I'm happy is losing is Tyler Watt. Because I saw him constantly on Twitter. Twitter kept promoting his like random tweets to me. I'm like, I don't follow him. I don't care about the Liberal Party. But for some reason, they thought I desperately wanted to see what Tyler Watt was up to.
Yeah. The Goat Store wants to know who's winning. Doug Ford majority. We've already called it. The PC.
Yeah, it literally was called for him 5 minutes into the polls closing. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was another thing. It was a different live stream. The National Telegraph didn't exist in 2018, but if anyone's been watching me for a while in the civil space days, remember how happy we were when Kathleen Wynne lost and Doug Ford first got in? Remember how good a time that was? Oh, because we remember when we all thought Doug Ford would be conservative for 15 seconds or so, and Kathleen Wynne was so terrible and he won, and we were so happy, and it was a blowout. It was a great day, and my friends and I, we were drinking and we were having fun. This is more we're drinking and not having fun. Yeah, all right.
Also, anyone who donated money to the Populist Party of Ontario, you got scammed. Chelsea Hillier is currently at 0.8% of the vote. Not that she was supposed to win, but the fact that she's probably not going to punch above 2% shows something. Even though they were we have a special announcement. Do you know a Hillier is going to be running for our party? She's not. She's just trying to get some donations and pay herself that for not campaigning. Can I prove that? No, but that's what every single stupid person who's running a campaign that's doomed to fail tends to do if they're not trying to build an actual movement. And the POP is not actually the PPO is not actually trying to build a movement. They had 13 candidates.
Yeah, it's a thing. So the Populist Party of Ontario. So that was what was gonna be Randy Hillier's party. They tried to make it like the PP. They tried to claim it was the PPC of Ontario. It wasn't. And then who started? Belinda coming back up to 11%.
It's all. I'm looking at kind of the number of votes because I'm not sure how many votes we have in currently for the election. This is how bad it is, people. It's 81 is marked off for Doug Ford right now. He's literally going to expand his majority on this dog's breakfast of an election.
Yeah. What's here?
What's the one other? Yeah, I need to search for that. Wait. Okay, it's not telling me. We will try and investigate this because something weird is happening. It did one poll close somewhere.
Yeah, it did in the most northern riding, did the new blue guy just give everyone $50 to vote for him.
Wait.
Ilana.
Wait. What is this?
Independent.
Okay. Time for me to investigate this.
Who in the hell is this man? Bobby Ann Brady. Who is this?
Okay, I'll radio this off. She was the Bobby Ann Brady, past president of Haldimand Norfolk PC Riding Association for 20 years. As campaign manager, she won the past 5 elections for MPP Toby Barnett and has been instrumental in provincial and federal politics across Ontario. She was raising money for Haldimand Norfolk PC Association for 20 years. Okay.
Is Bobby Ann Brady just this dark horse-based lady who's going to...
Yeah, what is this? Okay. Actually, this would be really funny. Okay, this would be really funny.
The fact that Wyatt doesn't know who she is.
I don't know who she... Yeah, this is really funny. It would be hilarious if she wins, and then she contacts Jim and Belinda Carajalios, and she becomes the first new blue elected MPP. That'd be extremely funny.
This is so great.
She obviously doesn't like the PCs.
Bobby Ann Brady, is she based? I don't care about married.
You just to type that into Google. Is she based Bobby Ann Brady? And there's 10 articles that deal with that.
Funny enough, it didn't come back. It didn't tell me if it was based or not. Apparently, Google has different characteristics. Okay. Bobby Ann Brady platform. Okay. Well, platform. Let's okay. Handmade, meet independent candidate Bobby Ann Brady. Party independent, occupation, executive assistant, DPP, Toby. So she was just Toby Barrett's secretary for 23 years.
No, what? I guarantee you, if she wins, this is gonna make the best political book of a century. Because I guarantee if she wins, it's something while she's running the local PC EDA, all she's doing is just like shaking hands with people and just saying, I'm Bobby Ann Brady. I'm the president of this. Oh, and also, yeah, I guess our MPP somewhat. And she just talked herself up for 20 years straight. And then she's cashing it all in 2021. That's actually hilarious.
Okay, so she's like kind of against lockdowns. Okay, here's a question. Okay, this place interviewed her, the Spectator. How would you grade the province's response to COVID and why? B. COVID presented unprecedented challenges, and it's easy to be critical when health officials often disagreed on how to handle it. Through my work for MPP Barrett, I repeatedly heard that the lack of consistency in response made it difficult for people to understand regulation/legislation. Shutting down small businesses while big box stores remained open had an impact on our communities. Sadly, not all these businesses/restaurants survived the financial impacts. It's time to move forward. So she's like, COVID's over. Okay. It's decently based. Norfolk Today.
I wonder, did she get a bunch of help from like Leslyn Lewis behind the scenes? Like Leslyn really liked her, and she's like kind of scooching her EDA people in the riding federally to go work for her.
I have no idea.
Like this is,
or maybe he's just like,
never mind, guys. This is the most exciting election. This is the Bobby Ann Brady for president election. I know we have premiers. It doesn't matter. It's the president.
Okay, guys. One, I'm putting it in the thing. Hashtag Bobby and Brady.
I'm a Bobby and Brady nationalist right now.
Yeah, I mean Bobby and Brady. She is. She's now our savior. She is now going to save Ontario.
Yeah. No, I'm fully on board the Bobby train. I have to mortgage my house for it now.
I know. Isn't this like?
Wait. Okay. What's her name? I'll type this in. I'm literally typing on Twitter, I'm a Bobby and Brady nationalist right now. This is the only riding I want New Blue to like underperform.
Yeah, and the other thing is,
I want them to be our Bobby and Brady stands.
Yeah, guys, if you have a time machine and you live in Norfolk, abandon New Blue. It's Bobby and Brady time. Guys, this is the Bobby and Brady election. She's up by like 3.6%. Let's go, Bobby Ann. She's kicking ass. She's taking names. I love this woman. I will die for her. I will literally die.
No. Bobby and Brady, yeah.
Okay, put in the chat if you knew who the hell Bobby and Brady was before tonight. You get an ice cream. Okay? This is I've never heard of this before where she's not an incumbent.
Well, it was like that lady in Nova Scotia who won her seat. And it was like, I guess you would assume she was going to win because she was the actual incumbent who was running for re-election.
Yeah.
But this must be like, this is like, again, this is half
this
of
isn't
the
Jody
polls.
Wilson-Raybould.
This isn't like one poll down and she has one vote and everyone has no votes because it was like a poll with only one vote and like, ha, 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 she's going to lose anyways. Like, no. This is like serious. Like the fact that the Liberal and the Green are this far down shows that this is like her riding. Like, wow.
And she's going toe-to-toe with the Conservative Party here.
She has like Independence, Freedom Party, New Blue, and Ontario Party to compete with in this area.
Bobby Ann Brady is a political force to be reckoned with. Probably the greatest woman that's ever lived in the history of planet Earth. I mean, how is this woman? How did she come out of nowhere? I love this.
It'd be really funny if she wins and then they just replace Doug Ford with her.
Yeah, she's my premier.
Yeah, she's the premier in my heart. Even if she doesn't even win, I'm still gonna do that.
I pledge allegiance to Bobby Ann Brady. If she ends up being a stooge and gets like corrupted by the lobbyists and then ends up being a shill and like this fake opposition thing, I'll be so disappointed.
Yeah. So guys, which lobby firm do you think Rick Nichols is gonna work for? Ooh. We should take bets on which one he's gonna send his resume in to first.
I'll go Crestview. It's always a
Fair
safe
enough.
bet.
It's a solid option.
It's a safe bet. That's like betting the field. Like, you know.
Are we even allowed to talk about Crestview? Is that like an off limits topic?
I mean, we're just saying we think Rick Nichols is going to apply for a job there.
Oh yeah, I never understand. Like, okay, maybe this is trouble territory. I never understand the whole like, Melissa Landsman. She's so like principled. She's such a great conservative. She's literally working for Crestview Strategies, who are the people who basically told Doug Ford to take a left turn after he was elected. When I say that, I mean like they were his main advisors.
This is where
so
we
that's
have to
just
be
what I'm
careful what we say
assuming.
about Crestview.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any of that. I don't speak English. Wyatt Claypool is he also doesn't speak English, so ignore that last part. Yeah, Melissa Landsman, if you're wondering, she's Michelle Rempel, like 7 years. Like, she's doing the Michelle Rempel thing where it's like you're gonna be like, oh my god, she was this principled conservative. She said that we shouldn't ban all of the guns all the time. And we shouldn't she said that taxes should be under 100%. Wow, she's so conservative. And then she's going to be like, sorry, I'm a woman and I'm white and blah, 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 blah. In 5 to 7 years, Melissa Landsman will be apologizing for like being too white and take a leftward turn.
Well, that's the thing is that she got famous off of that moment where Justin Trudeau, and to be fair to Justin Trudeau, and you can't really be fair with him at all, is that he was saying, oh, the conservatives standing with swastikas. Okay, he didn't literally call Melissa Landsman a Nazi. What he was saying was still disgusting. But now Melissa Landsman's famous moment was that she was accused of being a Nazi by Justin Trudeau. It's like,
being Jewish.
Sure, but she's Jewish and she
right.
was accused of being a Nazi. At the same time, it's like, okay, who cares? She's not a particularly conservative person. Remember when she was kicking David Menzies out of her events? Does anyone remember that at all? She's not exactly pro-free press when it comes to any criticisms of her at all. She was literally like the lobbyist on behalf of Costco or one of those big box stores to stay open during lockdowns. But it's like, but Justin Trudeau was slightly mean to her. Like, when I say slightly mean to her, I mean like on Justin Trudeau standards, it was like he was giving that to pretty much everyone. Yet, like, even though he's like calling the truckers worse, we all paused for like 6 days of the convoy to say how cool Melissa Landsman was from being in the room when Justin Trudeau said something stupid, as he always does. Like, I just thought it was like the most manufactured thing ever. Okay, our lady Bobby Ann Brady has survived another poll. It went from 32 to 33 polls out of 62, and her lead is still solid.
Yeah, it's still 3.6%. This isn't a razor thin margin. Like, she has a lead.
Man, if we wouldn't get flagged for it, we should start playing like the Eye of a Tiger every time we can jump back to her over to her riding.
Yeah, I mean, this is what in the hell happened? How did I never hear of Bobby Ann Brady? And so, like, there must be some incredibly big wedge issue in Norfolk Fork that she was able to stand on. Like,
yeah,
like
it honestly must be okay. Wait, when I said I will take it back for Bobby Ann Brady, the whole there is no such thing as a local politician anymore. She might have revolutionized the game, and she is just so good at maybe social media handshaking. She's like cleaned everyone's house for free that she is just so well known. Everyone will show up to vote for her. Or maybe we'll find out this is like some weird riding where like a third of the entire riding are family members.
She was endorsed by her former boss, the MPP. Okay.
That's very weird. Like, did that guy get like removed by Doug Ford? And who's the former MP of Alderman Norfolk? I'm looking this up. Provincial election district. It was Toby Barrett last time.
National gold medals in kickboxing. This woman's amazing. She used to like.
He resigned. He resigned, probably not liking Doug Ford. So it wasn't like he was a PC until the end, decided not to run again, then endorsed her. It makes more sense that he kind of signaled that he didn't like what was happening because he resigned like a little bit earlier.
Still, like, this woman has like a Canadian medal in kickboxing or something.
That's ridiculous. What is going on here? There's like a gas leak in this live stream.
What is going on, and why is this woman my new hero? She wanted to pass her electric. So she's a campaign manager also for Toby Barrett. So she's like not a political noob. She understands.
Well, that's why I looked at. She was like the riding. That's what my theory was, because she was the riding president for 20 years. Basically, did every single campaign for him. Not only she is a great friend, so she gets the endorsement, and probably in rural areas, people know their MPP a little bit more. Because I don't know if you like. Maybe this is just my assumption, but it feels like rural values are a thing where your MP shows up to a diner, he talks to and your friends, and he'll just talk and he'll just be very honest about politics. So you're very famous, and because she's like that too, she's connected to him. She also kind of does that one-on-one politicking. She's very good when it comes to elections. And honestly, here's the thing: New Blue was never going to win this election. Of course, they weren't. But it's kind of like what Jim Carhalios is saying going into the election, quoting Rob Ford, is that you kind of just have to keep pounding the ball. It's like the first election that Rob Ford ran in Etobicoke for like city council around Toronto. He lost it and came in 4th place. So Jim Carhalios and the New Blues kind of whole strategy is that we're not going to win this election, but people are going to people are going to know us more. We're going to keep shaking hands. We're going to keep meeting people. And by the next election, that's when half of the riding has a very good impression of us, because of course they only existed like a year and a half ago, and they didn't even have all their candidates or EDA set up a year and a half ago. It's only about a month ago that most of it was up and running. And that was and it's been extremely impressive considering they're pulling off, like Matt Miller is a great candidate. He's a great guy. Pulling off 5.3% in an election where you had, again, the New Blue Party did not get the stupid taxpayer funding that the PCs do, or any of the other major parties. The PCs are literally running probably with 30 times the amount of money or more than any other, than the New Blue candidates. Yet the New Blue candidates are actually plugging away and grabbing votes, which is extremely impressive. Especially Kenneth Benn here, 7.7%. You have David Barnwell, 6.3%. And even though Belinda was destroyed, kind of screwed over by terrible media coverage and a lot of other things going bad for them, and all the leaders dumping resources into this riding, she's still grabbing 11%, which is not bad considering. I would have liked it for her to win, but in this very anti-change election, these are pretty good numbers.
No, I mean, New Blues as a first-time party, I mean, it's excellent numbers. It's probably the best showing for a first-time party in terms of vote gaining in Canadian political history. So I won't take that away from them. And if they beat the Green Party on the vote count, that is a significant accomplishment. Now the problem is, without a seat, they will be ignored the next time around. So they kind of have to figure out a way to get more, with again, this is a 4-year thing with the majority. It's not going to be a election in 2 years. This saves Doug Ford till 2026. We're stuck with Fat Trudeau. That is the problem. Now I found, okay, so here, back to the real story of the night, Bobby Ann Brady. So here's how she answered this question: if elected, I pledge.
Okay, wait, 2 more. There's another poll closed and counted, and she's still ahead.
Did she just widen her thing? No.
It's been maintaining essentially.
She's at 3.5. She gained 0.1, and the PC gained 0.2. But Bobby Ann Brady will save this province. So Bobby Ann Brady will save us.
Yeah.
I hope she's super based. So if elected, I pledge to fight against the city of 40,000 plan at Nanaco. Never heard of this. Are they planning to? It's Doug Ford planning to build a new city just out of nowhere, and
I guarantee it's probably one of those things that Belinda was going after with the big Amazon warehouse that nobody wanted around Cambridge, where they're just going to build this giant eyesore of a plant right next to the place. There's they didn't follow any of the normal zoning laws. They didn't do anything, and they're just going to drop this giant, ugly, a massive. I forget how big it was, but it was 500,000 square meters or something ridiculous. And they were just going to drop this right next to Cambridge, where it was going to be the biggest thing that you could see around the town. And it's probably one of those where she's maybe she's the face against a massive building project around the area, and that's what she's kind of going off of.
Yeah, someone pointed out a nuclear plant. That's what I'm saying. The first thing when I look up Nanaco, it's is it's pictures of a nuclear power plant. Why is this woman coming out of nowhere? Is she going to save us? And will she literally fight Doug Ford? She has a gold medal in kickboxing.
Yeah.
She might come into the legislature and beat up Doug Ford and save Ontario. And then
At the very least, we know she would win.
Let us know if Bobby Ann Brady comes into the legislature in Toronto, beats up Doug Ford, suplexes him off the thing, like throws him out, and then declares that she's now the premier of Ontario. Would you follow her? Would you follow? I say yes. I say yes.
I was going to say in this riding, what is this? York Simcoe, considering it's a sort of like close to Toronto riding, Brett Fellman's actually doing pretty well. 5.5% that close to Toronto is pretty decent.
All right, good. Good on Joe. So right now there are 2 followers of Joe Ann Brady, Bobby Ann Brady. Bab, B-A-B, Bab, Babs. That's her new nickname. What are the Liberals at? How many seats do they have? Because 12 is official party status.
I will check. I am going to guess. What are you going to guess? I'm going to guess less than 7.
I'm going to guess 13, just to bug me. I didn't look last time. I should have. But what are they at on the top?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm scrolling up. 9. Okay, I was wrong. I owe Stephen Del Duca my house now.
9. That's hilarious. So if they don't get official party status, that for 2 elections without official party status for the Liberals in Ontario, that's amazing. So in a sense, this is a big win for the NDP. They get to remain as the official opposition for another 4 years.
Yeah. Do you think now the Jagmeet Singh's going to run down to Ontario politics to try and run for the leader?
No, you don't take step backs in politics. You can't do that. Like, you can't go federal to provincial.
Well, you can maybe run. He can maybe run as like a mayor of something to escape. That's like a way of like the clocking out of your shift in politics.
I guess
yeah. Like John Tory and become a.
Is he going to be trying to fight Patrick Brown for mayor of Brampton? Like, Brown is like the Calistani vote pretty good, or he did. Maybe he lost it. Who knows?
And I got into a Twitter argument with Kyle Hutton just this like morning or last night or something because he's like really, really into transitioning children or something.
Who's Kyle Hutton?
Green Party candidate, apparently in Milton, I think. That was the place I clicked on. No, that wasn't the right place. Burlington.
If you want to know when we're wrapping up, Mike, I have no idea.
We're holding on forever.
We didn't plan to go for a while, but like we thought we'd probably end pretty quickly because it's the story's decided, and I guess
if Bobby Ann has increased her spread, I think we might be watching until Bobby Ann wins.
Yeah, we don't call Bobby Ann.
Reese,
who is
we
Bobby
don't
Ann?
know who Bobby Ann is. We don't care. Or Risa, sorry. We don't know who she is, but she's our hero.
We don't know who she is, but she's going to save Ontario.
Yeah, she's literally depriving the PCs of a seat. We like her.
She is an independent in Norfolk that came out of nowhere and is somehow winning a race. And we hadn't heard of her until tonight. Maybe that's our bad as political commentators, but the fact that Wyatt had never heard of them. And Donna's right. We got to watch Babs. I can't believe there's actually a story of the Ontario election.
Yeah, oh my goodness. But oh my gosh! In my mind, I wanted like the NDP and the Liberals to do so much better. It's such a weird election where I want the Liberals and NDP to surge because at least I wanted them like the PCs to be in a minority government where everyone's just arguing with each other the entire time. Like, wow, we're going to have to put up with like fat Trudeau for another 4 years. And like, I know I live in Alberta, but essentially he's enabling every other conservative to be a flake as well, as long as they're ever so slightly more conservative than Doug Ford. Like, that's the problem with Ontario politics, is that if something stupid happens in that province, it goes everywhere else. So this is like our bar for conservatives. Especially because we do not have a competent person running the Alberta UCP that can kind of shame other premiers into kind of straightening up and flying right.
Yeah. Well, all I know.
What the hell? Whoa. Okay, never mind. That's just a fluky result. I was like, wow, New Blue's in third. He is still in third, so you can't argue with that. Good job, David Farrell.
There you go.
Thunder Bay, what's going on?
Listen, like the video if you think Bobby Ann Brady is the Messiah. Listen, Wyatt loves blasphemy more than anyone, so get on that blasphemy train. This is the Bobby Ann Brady show. I'm gonna find out more about this woman.
She's up even more. Look at this. He was at 30.8. The PC was at 38.8 last time. She was below 34.
Yeah, she's at 35. She's at 35.2. Bobby Ann Brady. She's at the 50, the 40, the 30, the 25, the 20. Bobby Ann Brady has one and he's gonna take it all the way. Bobby Ann Brady.
What an absolute winner.
What a champ. What a champ.
Unless she honestly really wants the Independent Riding Association subsidy, she'd be very smart to join the New Blue. In the sense if she wants to have a vehicle that actually can fund her in the long run.
No one can contain Bobby Ann Brady. No party, no matter how great, can contain Bobby Ann Brady. I'm
actually surprised that the PPO candidate Carl Olson's beating the Ontario Party candidate. Like, some of the Ontario Party candidates are doing better than I expected, but it's just because of pure, like, they just dumped money in TV ads and then they did a lot of stuff on social media. Like, that's the one thing that the New Blue Party would probably have to work on is more social media. They did a lot to get out to the doors and whatnot, but it is one of those things where you kind of have to have it all going for you all at once. But like, the problem is also the Ontario Party had a bit of an easier time getting votes in some of these ridings purely because they only ran like 40 candidates in any serious way. When I say serious way, I mean like had signs, had money, so they just concentrated all their money in a few ridings.
Yeah. Derek Sloan. What a schmo. Well, if there's any
like I can tell you after a while, you'd be like
Derek Sloan actually got 7%. That's disappointing.
But considering that the New Blue person still has 3% is not bad at all.
True.
But yeah, like Derek on Andrew Lawton's show, and I think Andrew Lawton does a great show. I think people should actually watch it. He even said, well, Andrew correctly asked him, like, hey, well, are you in this for the long run? Are you going to remain the leader? And his answer was, well, I don't like parties becoming cults of personality. It's like, that means you're leaving. No, like, you're not even committing to one more election. That means you're leaving. I guarantee you Ontario Party is not going to be a thing in any way in a month.
No, I mean, the only good thing about tomorrow is there's no more Ontario Party. I can see the Populist Party of Ontario sticking around. Like, that's some hardcore shenanigans going on down there.
Where's Queenie Yu's party? Or where's her riding? I just want to see her because she runs that stupid paper party. Niagara West Glanbrook.
Oh, did that neck crack come through on online? We'll never know.
Okay, I can't tell. No. I'm not even sure if she's running this elections, to be fair.
I mean, we have to. I'm gonna find out who Bobby Ann Brady is.
I thought we already knew that. She's our hero.
She is our hero, but we must learn more about her lore. Norfolk today. Bobby Ann Brady. We have lost faith now for Villa. Hope they're okay. So she's like, Doug Ford's an idiot. Okay. All right. I like this. Where is this article? Like, is that it? Is it just one paragraph? How do you do my Ashley Taylor literally wrote an article that doesn't even that it's like it's 100 words.
She's up by even more.
Right. How can you not write more about the greatest woman that's ever existed?
Yeah, like I like this is like you can't even blame any of us for not seeing this coming because there's no sign that she's even a person. Why is it not letting me like?
So let's look up Toby Barrett. Did he
Toby Barrett?
Yeah, like. First elected in June 95. Like, did he get kicked out?
No. I looked it up. He resigned because it said suddenly in 2022 to be announced was the MP. So that usually means there's going to be a by-election. Then we'll figure out who it is. But it was so close there wasn't going to be a by-election. Like it was so close to the regular election day. So I think he resigned out of probably protest that he didn't like how Doug Ford was doing things. But then let like her take over kind of as the candidate. Ooh, wait. That's the wrong one.
All right, John Bell, you get into heaven because you called Doug Ford Fat Trudeau, so you're in there. 72 virgins for you. No, we're adding an extra one.
Man, okay, Stephen Del Duca officially lost. Stephen Del Duca has now officially lost the riding, and he lost by like 19%.
Ooh, almost 20 points. Bam. So the silver lining is the Liberals got eviscerated again. In a province that they need. And once the policies of the federal Liberals hit the pocketbooks, they haven't. Once the Canadian people realize that what the Liberals federally have done to them, the same way the Ontario people finally realized what the Liberals are doing to them back in 2018. I mean, the time is when did the Liberals first get in? Like the Liberals first got in around 2008-ish, 2007 or 8 in Ontario. So it's about 10 years of Liberals before the policies destroyed everyone. So for Justin Trudeau, who got in at 2015, like the next election, 2025, that's when all like it's just going to be Canada's going to be an absolute shit show disaster because of their policies. Canadians at this point will realize en masse what the Liberals have done and then destroy them. And it looks like the good news of this election shows that it's not like there's a 4-year bounce back. So my fear is after the people realize that Justin Trudeau screwed them over so bad, we vote him out once, and then 4 years later, we're like, oh, well, they're the Liberals, they're the good guys, so back into the good books. It looks like the Liberals, once they screw over Canada this bad, will actually have to earn their way back into people's trust, which I don't think they're capable of because they are the Liberal Party. We just need the idiots of Ontario to stop voting Liberal federally. That will happen in 10 years. So it's actually on pace for 2025. So I wouldn't be surprised for the Liberals to get creamed in Ontario in 2025. I mean, John, we are very stupid in Ontario. It takes us 10 it takes Ontario about 10 years to realize that fire is hot and that it's actually the fire that is burning you. So two things. People of Ontario have to realize that fire is hot and that the burn came from sticking their hand in the fire. And this is about a 10-year process in Ontario. Now, you might say, I know fire is hot. I have taught my kids fire is hot. It took me less than 10 seconds. Yes, that's because your kids are not Ontarians or Ontario Liberal supporters. They have prefrontal cortex. They also have a brain stem, all the parts of the brain thingy. They can do the thinky thought thing. But we do not have that in Ontario. So do not discriminate against Ontarians for a lack of thinky thoughts. Just let us be, right?
Well, here's this. This is interesting because like, of course, like this is the only way that the Ontario Party is useful in any way, is at least to count some other votes. All of them would have gone to New Blue anyways, so that was still annoying. But at very least, we can still look at the overall how many people voted other, and it's like 5.7% so far, and in 2018 it was 1.7. So at very least, that shows that a lot of people are trying to find something different. What is this? Okay. Someone's literally only leading by like 2 votes somewhere.
There you go. I mean, so the good news is the Liberals don't regain official party status. So
And Bobby Ann Brady's still winning.
Yeah, Bobby Ann Brady, Savior of Canada, is coming. I'll put a poll on Twitter.
The only reason I don't think that the New Blue Party is going to beat Greens, like they don't have a chance to beat the Greens in vote count, is just purely because the Greens happen to be so popular in just a couple of ridings that they can really run up the score, like Parry-Sound Muskoka, even though they're going to lose it, and then Guelph, where it like Elizabeth May, Mike Schreiner's just like the king of the riding.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I say this as an Ontario, Catherine, born and raised in Toronto. So I'm not even from the base parts of Ontario. I'm from the most left-wing parts. But yeah, I mean, just give it to me. Just give it to me. It says, I was so happy when we voted Kathleen Wynne out and we first got a Conservative Party. I was so happy when they kicked Patrick Brown out because Patrick Brown was the worst. And then to see Doug Ford potentially be worse than Patrick Brown, I don't think there's something worse than Patrick Brown. I really didn't think so. But I learned something new. And I learned to grow and blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Do you think Bobby Ann Brady will like tell me, like sing me a song and tell me a lullaby and then read me a story before I go to bed?
100%.
Because I'm feeling kind of down, and Bobby Ann Brady, if you're watching, which I know you are, because she's super based. We're just assuming she's really based, and she's watching the National Telegraph live stream. I like bedtime stories. Okay, I like them to have some action and adventure. My dad was a much better storyteller than my mom. Not surprising. Batman stories were pretty good. So if you can come over, DM me. I'll give you my address. You can come over, read me make up your own Batman story because you're super great. You can kickbox. And then you can do the punchy kicky thing while you do it. Maybe Bobby Ann Brady is a Batman character. Maybe she's Batman. You ever thought of that? Mike Baker wants a picture of Bobby Ann Brady. Why? Can you bring up a Bobby Ann Brady picture?
I'll see if I can.
All right, Wyatt's on it. Reese Upton asking if New Blue or Ontario won any seats. No. Who said there'll be lockdowns in the fall? This has come from multiple sources and whispers inside the Ontario legislature. There's whispers all around the Ontario legislature from multiple staffers that I've just heard and picked up, and multiple people have picked up across reference that they're planning something in the fall. I just assume lockdowns. I just know that they're planning something for the fall, and you probably won't like it.
Oh, and this is who Bobby Ann Brady is apparently.
This is Bobby Ann Brady. Yeah, this is Bobby Ann. This is Babs. This is Babs. Praise to Babs.
And when we came back, she's still winning. So guys, no worries. We're all gonna make it through the night because Bobby and Brady is here.
I mean, Bobby and Brady will save us. Let me check Twitter. Tanya Granick Allen is now claiming Bobby and Brady is the story of the night. They're calling it. It's called.
What?
They called the race for Bobby and Brady. Elected.
Well, these people haven't yet, but I think we're pretty safe to say that she's probably going to maintain her lead because it doesn't matter what polling station closes; she is only growing her lead.
Bobby and Babs.
And John Bell. No, they did not.
Babs.
It was only really going to be Belinda's riding if they could win or not. But like she's in fourth there, and it's like it really is one of those things that makes you depressed, where voters kind of just again are very much brand voters in Ontario these days. And it's like fair enough. I think people have been brand voters for a long time, but those brands used to be good enough that you were kind of okay with the fact that I'm a PC voter, I'm a Liberal voter, I'm an NDP voter. It makes sense even if you didn't like the parties. They were like professional, but like the candidates they have now, like you don't really go to any of the helicopter and PC candidates. And you're like, oh, that guy should run for politics. It's like, I guess that guy's the candidate is really like the impression you get of people. Yes, we'll attempt to get Bobby and Brady on for an interview someday to make both me and Daniel's dreams come true. What?
Like, no, this is all my mental... Guys, if you know Bobby and Brady, you call her and you tell her that she will save us and she will come on the National Telegraph and we'll do an entire 10-hour live stream with Bobby and Brady. And if any of you don't show up or if any of you leave early, that is haram. You will be hunted down as heretics. Everyone in Ontario, 10 million people, will be required to watch 10 hours, the life and story of Bobby and Brady. We will go from birth to this very moment. We will chronicle her life in kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, grade school, middle school, what sports team she did, high school, those college years, even the crazy things she did, every job she's had, everyone she's worked for. We will play drinking games. We will do everything. You will know exactly who Bobby and Brady, the glorious leader, is. Dixie says she's a very good person. Congratulations, Bobby Ann. Dixie, do you know Bobby Ann Brady? Do you know her?
Give us a connection,
Bobby Ann? If you do, then Dixie, you're coming on too. Dixie, all our hopes rely on you. You are the greatest. Is that my neighbor? No, it's maybe you're asking someone else. I don't know if. Oh. Bobby and Brady was a conservative. Doug Ford refused to appoint her and appointed a man instead. Well, Bobby and Brady kicked his butt. So that's good because Bobby and Brady.
Here, actually, no. Honestly, that is like the perfect case study of why the PC party is stupid. It's just like you could have a good party if you just let people actually elect their own representatives. Because Bobby and Brady, I guarantee you, if there was a nomination race in the riding, would have blown out the guy who she's running against. But Doug Ford wants a lobbyist type to be his I'm not sure candidate. I'm not sure if he's a lobbyist, but the whole point is that he wants someone for some reason to he wants the guy whatever his name is. I won't look it up. I'll figure it out. He wants like Ken Hewitt to be the candidate, so he doesn't care what the people at the EDA level think. who probably really wanted Bobby Ann. She's known by every probably PC member in the riding. And then when they fail to do it, then she actually gains steam. And it's like she's an outlier because she probably is exceptional in terms of her name recognition around the area and how many people she's connected to and how much money she can fundraise. But it's like, isn't that kind of pathetic, though, that knowing that there's probably more Bobby Anns out there who in a nomination race would have beat the PC candidate, and then they would have been kept as the MPP in the riding. It's like same thing with Belinda Carvalhos and every single other PC that was kicked out. They were probably the person that the actual local PC, not like PC board people liked, but Doug Ford appointed someone else, so they're not going to, and that person's like basically going to win off the brand, and no one else can mount a race to beat him, and that's why I find it very kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting point. Thank you for bringing up whoever brought it up. Andre wants to sound have a crush on Bobby Ann Brady. It's not so much your crush, I just think she's the Messiah now.
I just think she's hot and I'm in love with her.
Yeah, I just think she's hot and I'm in love with her. I just think she's amazing and I'm in love with her. No big deal. But yeah, okay, so Ang P. Bobby Ann Lee was a conservative, right? She was the conservative MP's campaign manager, assistant, executive assistant. Doug Ford refused to appoint her and appointed a man instead. We said, yeah, that's what people are telling me. So yeah, Wyatt's right. This is nice to see a story of Doug Ford's bad habits coming home to roost, in the sense that this is the PC party thinking we're above elections. Wyatt and I talk about this all the time. Jim Calaros too. The PC party don't respect democracy internally, and this is, at least in one riding, them getting burned by it. So it's nice to see that there was at least some minor consequences to their shenanigans, and Bobby Ann Brady being an independent, or elected as an independent, she will save us.
Like even let's just think of this. The fact that Matt Miller pulled off 5.1% without the PC brand or money shows that in an actual nomination race, if he was in the PC party, would have beat Rob Flack probably for the nomination. In this riding of Lambton, Kent, Middlesex, David Barnwell, 6.4%, probably would have beaten, or maybe he's an incumbent, so it's a little bit hazier, but like probably would have given Monty McNaughton a run for his money or beat him for the nomination in terms of quality of candidates. The fact that an independent is polling above 4% probably means in an actual nomination race, they would clean the clock with the person, but Doug Ford appoints his candidates and protects the ones that he has in place, or kicks them out if he doesn't like them. And this is the thing, is that you are getting like the fifth, you're probably getting in a lot of these ridings as your PC MPP, the person who would have placed fifth in a nomination race.
Yeah. I'm just so happy we have something to talk about today. The Liberals don't regain party status.
She's maintaining, guys. Don't worry.
Oh God! Oh, this idiot saying stupid stuff.
Who?
You know who? Clinton. He's yeah, just the worst.
Is it about how this? Was it about how this shows that conservatism is saved because Doug Ford won another one?
Yeah. I go asking if there's whispers of lockdowns fall, what the presumed reason for such lockdowns? Just COVID? I think so. I think, new variant and all this. Now, I mean, this could always change. Like, again, the best made plans of mice and men. Daniel's so literate. Did you read John Steinbeck? The Cole's Notes. Book report. No, wait. I read the Cole's Notes, The Greats of Wrath, because that was too boring. I read all of Mice and Men. Never mind. Yeah, it from what I think is just another COVID thing. We'll see. But maybe Bobby Ann Brady will save us. But no, in fact, Bobby Ann Brady will save us. I mentioned about Carla Elson, PPO, and Sarnia. I knew her personally. She deserved what she got and more. Ran a great, clean, positive campaign. Came out of it. Okay.
Okay, the Matt Richer for the Greens lost in Perry Sound, Muskoka, so they don't flip that one from the PCs to the Greens.
Lots of monkey business going on in Ontario. Welcome to Ontario. This is literally all we do. Democracy is fake news. And democracy is optional here. Okay. In the chat, should I go as Bobby and Brady for Halloween? I know it's a bit too premature, but it's not. If you like and share the video, if this video, we're at 48 likes. If we get to 60 likes within the next 5 minutes, I will go as Bobby and Brady for Halloween, and I will post pictures of that online. So we're at 48 likes. So if you like the video right now, and we get to 60, I will go as Bobby and Brady for Halloween.
I find it insane that they still haven't even started counting some of these ridings. I wonder what the overall turnout is this election so far.
Yeah, the turnout is abysmal. That's another thing. It's like, well, why you gave the rant to me? I told you save it for the live stream. Explain low.
Oh yeah, like literally a couple hours, just a couple hours before the actual polls closed for this. We'll settle on the Bobby and Brady riding to talk about stuff. Oh wow, she's up by another 300 votes. Whoa, okay, she's running away with it. But anyways, 2 hours before the polls closed, the vote count, turnout rate was only 33%. Of course, a lot of people vote right before the polls close. They're going home, or they remember. I always find that that's when you always see the polling station at the busiest, right when it closes. But man, if 33%, I guarantee this is probably an under 50% turnout election, and that's disgusting. Think about how many people probably start sitting at home thinking, yeah, I would say my taxes are too high. And literally the only people who went out and voted in terms of major parties, everyone just showed up and voted for more taxes parties. The PCs are technically the most fiscally conservative, quote unquote, and their only tax pledge was to cut gas taxes for 6 months. Not even eliminate them, just reduce them for 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, this is less than 50% voter turnout. It's pretty abysmal here in Ontario. It is a boring election to most people, but not Bobby and Brady.
Yeah, even in this riding where Brian Riddell won, because I was thinking before the actual vote counting started, I'm well, how many does Belinda need if she needs to win? And even in my mind, I'm you could technically win this riding with 13,000 votes, and it's maybe the turnout rate's a little bit higher than that because I was going off of elector counts that were older. From 2010, so the population would have been lower, but still, the fact that he's probably going to win with maybe 16,000 votes is insane.
So right now, I put a poll out on Twitter of will Bobby and Brady save us? Yes, no, and who the is that? Right now, who the hell is that is winning. So if you believe in Bobby and Brady, you can go vote in this Twitter poll. You can save us. And save Bobby and Brady. She deserves all the love she can. Because listen, on the first day, Bobby and Brady created light and darkness. On the second day, damn it, my Hebrew day school knowledge is going. Wasn't plants and animals yet. Land and sea.
What are you talking about? The first day was light from darkness. Second was land from sea.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, no, so you said that. Yeah.
Two for two. Toha vavoa. In the beginning.
No. Wait. Okay. Wait. Okay. This is okay. Now this is a very different live stream. First day was light from darkness. Then second one I believe was sky from sea, and then third one was land from water, and then fourth was that was animals, flying things that crawl on the land and everything. Okay. I think we figured it out.
No. Okay.
If not, if we don't fact check me on this, that will make me sad.
No. This is a new thing. Is how much of I'm not gonna buy this thing. What the hell am I? Can Wyatt guess all the days things were created? Okay. 7 days of creation. Okay. So day one, we both are right. God created light and separated from darkness, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're right. God created expanse of waters and sky. What do you say day 3 was?
Day 3 was land from sea.
Yeah, okay, good. Day 4?
I'm going to guess that second, third day, or fourth day is it's going to be something I believe it's things that crawl on the ground.
No, Wyatt's going to hell. God created sun, moon, and the stars.
Damn.
Cosmos.
Okay.
Day 5 was living creatures, and that day 6 was humans, and then day 7 got the Sabbath.
Hey, here's something. Naveed Kaur lost, who was that person that Jagmeet Singh showed up for an event and then promptly sprinted out of there when Sikh people showed up to register their disagreement with him.
3rd place. Sorry,
what?
Is this her?
Yeah, she's 3rd place. So that's the lady that Jagmeet Singh came to root for.
So silver linings. We got some silver linings all around.
Yeah.
Maybe Bobby should run. I mean, Bobby will be prime minister one day. I'm calling it. First, she saves Ontario. She's like Belinda on steroids. She then kung fu's Mike Harris or whoever it is in the Cambridge riding. That was Jim Randall. She kung fu's what's his face in Cambridge. Belinda gets back in. Okay, so then it's Belinda and Bobby and Brady. They go on wacky misadventures. Okay, all around the country. Just, getting in and out of trouble, solving mysteries like they do. It's funny. It's suspenseful. It's heartbreaking at times.
Daniel, I found it. I found the one Stop the Sex Ed candidate so far, John Connery.
Oh,
if anyone doesn't know, the Stop the Sex Ed parties, like the fakest of fake parties, they literally just take donations to fund themselves doing like other sorts of activism. Oh wow, she's up again. Okay. I know you said that some other people already called it, but I'm sticking around until Global gets it in through their thick skulls that Bobby and Brady owns their world.
Yeah, I mean, Global. What the hell is Global News doing? Do they not understand that Bobby and Brady, savior of Canada, adventure extraordinaire, kung fu master, literally kickboxing champion. Literally, she can kickbox her way into my heart.
Through the thick walls of Daniel's bloated heart. But that might be more of a medical issue than anything. Will Boma won. He's a particularly annoying PC MPP.
Derek Sloan lost his seat and got 7% from the last I saw. Michelle.
Yeah, it was 7%. And then on top of that, the New Blue person still pulled off 3%. Which usually when you have someone doing that well as one of... who's this Paul Miller guy? He's like 6.3%. I'm actually kind of impressed whenever someone who's like a complete independent goes better than 1%.
What a G.
But I think if the New Blue Party, I don't think they really have to take lessons from that. I think that's almost kind of a silly thing to say because they weren't thinking, oh, what did we do wrong? We didn't get a majority. It's like, no. We're never going to get a majority. We were probably only had one seat potentially.
Is it Bobby and Brady question?
Yeah.
Everything must stop. Is Bobby?
Okay.
I read on one of the articles that she had like Canadian federal gold medals in kickboxing. So I do think she's a kickboxer. Yes. And when Babs, Donna's called Babs. Babs doesn't seem to be pro windmill, but I'm reading more to make sure. Oh, what a great lady.
Thank you for doing the research.
Donna, what a champ. Heaven, straight to heaven.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, like the thing is, like the New Blue Party doesn't really have to take lessons away from this. It's like the lessons would be, hey Jim, don't get cancer. Like there's literally no lessons you can take from it. They have a good first election voter turnout, considering they're not going to have to deal with the Ontario Party in the long run because the Ontario Party is a fake party that's not going to be here tomorrow. More people know about them. And then basically, I think they just need to make sure that they continue staying in the public eye in some way. They, like, within a week or two of taking a break, start basically campaigning again in a certain sense. Like, start building up your EDAs, having more meetings, running more ads to build up your social media platforms. And it's just more. You just kind of need more. And it sounds so callous, but it's like, man, if Doug Ford puts Ontario through another lockdown, I'm just going to be looking at on new blue polling, because that would basically confirm every single terrible thing about Doug Ford. It doesn't even have to be a lockdown. It could be any kind of liberal policy that Doug Ford pushes out forward, and voters kind of finally clue and think, oh, yeah, he's not conservative. Not that they were going to figure out to vote for the New Blue Party this election, because it is the problem of name recognition. You have to talk to 10 million people to be able to win an election, and that's just not feasible when you only exist for a year and a half. But it is pretty decent if you're winning like 9%, 7% in some of these ridings, and you're not exactly a star candidate. But yeah, like I think it's really just that. It's just that they have to do more as things go on, and it's not like they've been doing a bad job so far. It just needs to be more.
Yeah, I think we did great. I think this was the greatest Ontario election coverage of all time. I think people had more fun here than they did anywhere else. I think nowhere else will tell you the Bobby Ann Brady news you need to know. No other news organization has pledged itself to her. Heart, body, and soul. Listen, we are now a biased news organization, National Telegraph. We are a Bobby Ann Brady paper. Do we know anything about her prior to today? No. Will she let us down? It's Canadian politics, most likely. But for now, for the next however long until she sells out to the lobbyists, this organization works on behalf of Bobby Ann Brady, savior of Canada and Ontario. Why? Do you have anything to say? Are you going to say?
No, I was typing stuff at the time. But wait. Was I was just wondering, was let's try to find it here. I want to find it without having to go to the map. Von Woodbridge. Okay, there we go. Was Del Duca the incumbent? Oh, no. Michael Tiballo was. But like, considering how many resources you put in an area when you are the leader, it really just goes to show, like, again, like no, like the New Blue Party can't feel bad for itself. It was an anti-change election. If you weren't the party in power, especially the incumbent and the party in power, you were not going to get elected. Like, the amount of flips that are going to happen this election is going to be absolutely like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big takeaway. Is it was a stick with the people in power election. New Blue's numbers are much better than they had any right to be.
Maybe I'll show this in a second. I think this is good. Wait. Just find this interesting little piece of history. Where is it?
This is an encouraging comment.
What?
Weber, 65 years old, just signed up to Thompson University for political science course. Then I'm going out there to get help to new parties. 6 years after this, but I need to know what I'm talking about and how things are going to work. That encouraged me. I like that. Good for you. I hope Bobby Ann Brady blesses you with many, I like this one. Del Duca's a great future as a kingpin impersonator with a fake Spider-Man at kids' birthday parties. But like a really hi, I'm Kingpin. Hi. I can't even do a Del Duca voice because my voice doesn't go that horrible.
Horrible. Wow, what you're really laying it on thick there.
Yeah.
Except you're right, so I'm not going to complain.
I'm Ian Hannamansing, and this is a standard news reporter voice tonight in Ontario.
Sorry, I like the way you do it. You're like, I'm Ian Mansing, and this is boring.
I know. This is a standard news reporter voice. It's Ian Hannamansing, and I'm boring tonight. Bobby Ann Brady kick flips and punches Doug Ford in the face, then takes control of the legislature. What does this mean? Let's go to CBC correspondent. Who cares? Random McDiversity hire. Diversity hire, take it away. Oh my God. Like, I was on TikTok, bro, and blah, 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 blah. Del Duca looks like a villain from a movie. No surprise he didn't get elected.
Yeah, it's Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it's Lex Luthor.
It's Lex Luthor's loser brother Kip. Anyways, this was the thing I was going to show. In Rob Ford's first election in 1996, he literally came in third place or fourth place.
Praise be Rob Ford.
Yeah.
Rob Ford was such a G.
It's more of just to say, like, yeah, like you really kind of do have to lose an election before you can kind of win one in a certain sense. Oh, they actually replaced her photo. What? This is how
Bobby and
cool
Brady's here.
She
Bobby and
kicked
Brady's here.
way into getting a photo. She probably kicked down the door of Global News, just put like a voter card over someone's face and just started pounding on it until they made her photo, until they placed her photo on there. Oh, wow. She's my hero. Again, the thing is that this is why riding election polling matters. I guarantee a lot of New Blue people are actually doing in specific riding polling, but because they were never conducting it, people just go back to the brand because they have no clue who's going to win. I guarantee if this riding had specific riding polling, she would be blowing it out by 50%. There's probably only PC voters because they're like, well, she's an independent, Bobby can't win, so I'm going to go for Ken. And it's like, no. All those Ken voters are Bobby's voters, except they're just voting for them because they think the NDP might be a threat, which they're not, clearly. And that's probably what happens. Like, and again, not that New Blue people are going to win, but New Blue people are probably up by a few more points if they're actually showing that they actually have substantial support.
Yeah, I don't know. If Tucker does interview Bobby, that'd be super based. But the real question is, will Bobby and Brady interview Tucker Carlson on the Bobby and Brady show?
Every single interview, you just hear like a door get kicked in, and you just see some producer get thrown around, and then she just like jumps onto the host spot, kicks the person in a swivel chair across the table to the interviewee spot, and just starts saying, "What are you doing? What do you do here? What is this? What am I doing here? I'm Bobby Ann Brady," and that's the entire thing.
It is. I can't believe we did over an hour and a half on this election.
Yeah,
only because of Bobby and Brady.
This is comatose.
Oh, what a terrible!
I'm going to start making fun of people's faces if this goes on much longer. Like Mario, what's going on there?
So, do you want to wind this thing down and do a final overview on the numbers? So, like the thing is, okay, Belinda got 11.3% or whatever. We would. It would have been great if Belinda got in. That would have been super dope. Bobby and Brady, Savior Ontario, did get elected.
Yeah, like it doesn't show her here yet, but it's like 51 polling stations out of 62 counted, and she's only been going up so far. There's been and it's a very rural riding, so maybe there's a couple of urban centers here who haven't counted yet, but usually the urban areas are the first to count because it's easy there's a lot more volunteers to get it all together and whatnot. Or even if it's voting machines, it's just like less stuff. Like it's usually more organized in urban areas. So I guarantee her vote's only going to go up because it's probably a few trailing rural polling stations that they're waiting for. Considering other people already called it, they probably understand which polling stations have been counted and which ones have not.
Mm-hmm.
New Blue people are actually doing decent around Toronto. Some of them are actually polling pretty well, considering.
Apparently, Horvath is giving a victory speech.
What? Oh, I saw her speaking and she was smiling. So it's more of the I survived election.
Yeah, I mean, she can't say it out loud, but second place is the ceiling for the NDP.
Yeah. Huh. Is there anything else interesting for us to look at? How many votes do you think that the New Blue Party is going to end up with here? Because I'm not sure what their average is, but it seems like they're being able to punch over 1,000 in most of these ridings.
I mean, they're doing pretty good.
But yeah, overall as well, just the fact that independent votes are 5.7% is pretty massive, considering, again, your other tends to be around 1.
Yeah, so this is a big win for the other. Derek Sloan will be gone. He'll do one more. I always said he's going to do one more fundraising email. Derek Sloan's going to try and grift funds.
He's going to pretend like they're going to stick around, and then they're not.
I wouldn't be surprised if Derek Sloan pulls a whole, like, the Dominion voting system screwed over the Ontario Party. We totally had this one. Give me $1 million and I can prove.
Yeah, I think people have asked about that before. Like, I think my answer that you liked a couple of days ago is the best one. I can tell you that there's no cheating in general elections in Canada because every single party's too experienced with rigging votes inside of their own parties to let each other get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, you can request hand counts. That the problem in the U.S. is that you couldn't actually ask for hand counts, and on top of that, you run into the issue where, like, in the 2020 election, voter fraud. Like, we're gonna quickly talk about this just so Facebook doesn't kill us. Like, the main issue was not voting machines. It wasn't a lot of like faked ballots or anything. It's just ballot harvesting. And the sad thing is probably legal. It's probably fully legal, other than the fact that it's incredibly unethical and it shows laws that need to be changed. It's like, again, a word that you're not allowed to say. Some Amount of Mules documentary was actually pretty good. They do a good job of showing, like, people are basically driving from nonprofit organizations, going to ballot boxes and just putting 5 ballots in, driving to another one. This all going at 3 a.m. Just putting 3 more ballots in, or 5 more ballots in, going somewhere else, putting 5 ballots in, somewhere else, 5 ballots. It's like, yeah, that's super sketchy. Again, it's sadly probably legal based on the absolute topsy-turvy type of voting rules that they had in these different states. They probably were allowed to do that in a silly way. Like, they don't want people to know that they're doing it because people kind of see your election as illegitimate based on you using those sorts of tactics, but you're still technically allowed to do it, other than the fact that you would probably get investigated for doing it anyways, considering that that's pretty messed up that we might have had someone get elected purely out of just dropping ballots from people too apathetic to fill them out themselves. Anyways, that's all of our 2020 election coverage that we probably need to do for a long time. I am like just clicking around now, but nope, no more polling stations in for Bobby yet. Daniel, I cannot hear you. You're muted.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you were just really depressed at the election or something. Are you just so bored?
No. Okay, I guess I was muted there. Okay, my bad. Okay, so go to the general as we wind ourselves down. That's what I was saying is so go to the general so we could do a countdown. I guess I somehow muted myself.
General? We're talking about
the general thing, like seat counts overall.
Oh.
So we can look at the meta numbers before we say goodbye.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so then there's a lot of places that haven't even started counting yet. So I guarantee Doug Ford's probably going to end with 85, 86 seats.
Well, there's just 3 that haven't been, or 2 that haven't come in. So yes, Doug Ford, big night for Doug Ford. Andrea Horwath gets to maintain official opposition status. So the good night for the NDP, horrible night for the Liberals, which is good for Canada. The Greens get 1 seat, so who cares? New Blue will check their numbers and very impressive showing for a first thing. Too bad Belinda couldn't get in. But the story of the night is the savior of Canada, maybe the world, Bobby Ann Brady, who will get in and be the most based woman the world has ever seen, and probably hate Doug Ford and hold a grudge.
Oh, I'm looking up CBC's numbers. Yeah, they did call it for. Wow, that's not bad. Okay. Well, anyways, Bobby and Brady's now our hero.
Media thanks for breaking the news. Good. Both Horvath and Del Duca both announced they're stepping down. So we got some. This will probably be the next primary in the Ontario and NDP election. It'll be interesting to see if they sync up. And I'm interested to see just how anti-Semitic it's going to get. I'm calling it the next Ontario election. The dark horse candidate will be the one who ends up being the most anti-Semitic, the biggest anti-Semite will probably win the Liberals, and maybe probably win the NDP and maybe the Liberals. So I do think hating Jews will be the center point of the next NDP Liberal caucus, as there's things in them because there's general apathy. But in order to drive out as you said, Del Duca won with 1,000 people, to drive out a significant voter base, there will be a candidate who comes out of the fringe who runs on a what should Ontario do? Something, Israel. Israel's the problem. I do think the NDP and Liberal candidate that blames Israel for all of Ontario's problems will be the next leader of these parties.
Yeah.
My prediction.
I can stick with that one. I won't contradict you on it. Man, I'm looking at the Elections Ontario site, and it honestly sucks. Like, man, they say that like Ontario, like other parties only have 1%. Like that's how bad their updating of the website is.
Yeah.
They cannot count like any of this stuff.
So Wyatt, do you have any closing remarks? I think I've said everything.
Yeah. No, I don't really have anything to say. Good on Bobby and Brady for stealing a PC seat. And hopefully we'll see good things from her in the future. Hopefully the New Blue Party will keep expanding, and hopefully the Ontario Party will finally wrap up and go home, considering it's not real. And then we can actually have a real organized opposition. Because again, if you doubled the Ontario Party's or the New Blue Party's votes, or added 40% or whatever percentage from Ontario Party candidates, the media story the next day would say, okay, yeah, they didn't win any seats, but they got 8% of the vote or something like that. And then it becomes a big deal. Essentially what Derek Sloan has done here is made sure that a lot of media can pretend there's no alternative movement by saying, oh, look, it's a bunch of parties that only got 3% of the vote. I'm like, okay, but if you amalgamate that together, it's actually quite a bit, but it looks like nothing because Derek ran a party that he wasn't intending to run for more than 2 months. All right.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, everyone who came out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, blah, 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 blah. Thanks for choosing us over the mainstream media. And